Well, hello everybody, and welcome once again to this week's sparkling edition of, I was about to say Metaverse Week in Review, which indeed it is if you're watching live on the whole channel. But of course, this segment is what we call the Inworld Review. And it will come as no surprise, I imagine, to most of you that we have a holiday situation. Yes, indeed. It is that time of year. And we've been joined by a few guests to keep us company for our little holiday special. Now, very interesting this. The last time we did a sort of special broadcast, it was at Halloween, and we had a big midweek Halloween playlist, and we interspersed it with a whole load of sort of live interludes. And we thought, well, the next time we do that, it should be for the winter solstice. Well, look what's happened. I actually I looked at something called the calendar, which is a rather useful thing, really. And it is already the solstice. Effectively, this is our solstice show. There are some other holidays coming up in the next few days, of course, but to all intents and purposes, this is our solstice show. So after this show is over, you'll be able to see the rest of the Metaverse Week in Review. And then immediately after that, you'll be able to see the first half of our immersive Wonderland show. No live stuff in it as yet, but in the next few days, part two, in other words, more of it will be added. And who knows, we might pop in live on the when's the big day? Wednesday, isn't it? Or maybe before, or maybe after. We'll do that sort of stuff as it comes along. So all I can really do for the top of the show, so to speak, is to wish you all a happy holiday in whatever ways you do celebrate it. And today, personally, a wonderful solstice. Have a sizzling solstice with us and afterwards too. So, we come to the main news of the week, all the greater metaverse stuff, the world of immersive spaces on the internet, the web, and wherever you may find them. I'm getting a few bleepies in the background here, but that's probably because I haven't switched my sounds off and there's nattering going on. Summary of the week in the greater metaverse, as it were. I have I found a nice little blog this morning. It's called a Quadra Pop Tree. QUADRAPOPTREE .tumblr. That's TUMBLR, by the way, .com. And art is what you make it. A couple of rather nice visuals. But it's rather interesting in the sense that it's the pictures you'll find at this blog are from an art installation concerned with the use of light. And it's an installation that you'll actually find on a grid called Inworlds. Inworlds is a closed grid, rather like Second Life, but it is actually a separate entity. So if you're a member of Inworlds or fancy going to inworlds.com and signing up, and connect with this blog, you may well like to actually look up this installation called Quadra Pop. Yeah, Quadra Pop. Even the typography is confusing, a visual experience, but Quadra Pop is what it is. In the greater news, I got another post this morning. The post itself seems to be undated, but it's at a website called healthguidance.org. And could I ask whoever's on the panel typing to sort of keep the typing noises down because we can hear them on Skype, which is a bit confusing. Whoever is typing, thank you. But okay, it's disturbing me. Never mind. Anyway, at healthguidance.org, you'll find a post called The Psychological Implications of Virtual Reality. And very interesting post it is. It's really it's talking about degrees of immersion, especially given the fact we've got things like Oculus Rift coming on the market. And a fairly level-headed sort of discussion as to what degrees of immersion are healthy and benefit us, and what degrees of immersion may be somewhat unhealthy. And where are we here? This actually connects. Right, I need to go back to my main links here. In fact, some of the news in the week. the links I'm going to give out are numbers for Flip It, flip.it/LUZOR. Basically, that's a listing of thousands of radio stations that have a Second Life orientation that you might want to load into your land. SCO.IT and then 7K66Z is an article on tricking the brain with transformative virtual reality. And there is a video there because this actually ties in with the PBS broadcaster in America who have a show called NewsHour, and there's a clip to go with that. Yes, another avant-garde, it's called Avegant Glyph. This is yet another new virtual reality headset aimed at the mainstream. This one actually looks more like a normal pair of glasses with a lot of the hardware side of it sort of attached to it rather than embedded in it. And you can find more about that at sco.it and then 7K66Z. Right, moving up here. Very interesting series of audio and video lectures have been put online by the University of Oxford here in the UK. Most of them are podcasts, audio, but there are some videos there. You can find a link to at sco.it 5CMOQ9. And the title of the series is The Universe, the Brain, and Second Life. So it's like life, the universe, and everything, but Second Life instead of the universe, if you catch my drift. So there you go. The Universe, the Brain, and Second Life. Great title for a series, I think that is. Right. Heading up the list. SL Inquirer have a two-part editorial article this week called Parallel Universes, Part 1 and Part 2, looking at OpenSim, which is unusual for them. They tend to be a very Second Life-focused newspaper. And, I'm going to move on to all this for the moment. Avoid everything that things we need. SCO.IT again, 6F7Q09. Amputees Navigating the Virtual World. It's an NSU study, and that link will take you to the Sun Sentinel, an American newspaper. And basically, it's looking at the way that people without certain limbs and things are actually able to use the virtual world to have compensatory navigational skills. Very interesting that stuff too. Hypergrid Business have revealed that virtual reality is a definite draw at conferences. Yes, if you go to a conference, presumably in the real world, oddly enough, but then see virtual reality projected at the conference, apparently it's quite a draw. Would that more people actually use virtual reality to attend the conferences rather than go to the conferences and then sit back in awe at the power of virtual reality? It's a bit contradictory, that, but nevertheless, you can find more about that at Hypergrid Business. And you can also go there to find out a little bit about Kitely's new pricing. We announced this week the Kitely platform has changed their pricing model. And apparently a lot of people are rather confused by this, even though actually it's a beneficial change in pricing. Hypergrid Business endeavored to actually deconfuse this a bit for you. And in the same article, they have a reference to a company called Zetamex, who are stepping up into the cloud. They also provide virtual platforms in the cloud, so to speak. And where are we? Yes. Now, another one that came this is rather odd to me. Inworlds, again, the close world we mentioned earlier, has various, I don't know, they're portals, but they're known as connection centers. The idea is that they make a connection for Second Life residents and Inworld residents to sort of meet each other and get to know who they are in both worlds. And basically, I think there was some threat of these going away, but it's now been announced that these communication centres are actually remaining open in worlds. So good if you want to track down people you know in SL, for example, who might now be in worlds, and indeed vice versa. So I'm closing all these little tabs in front of me, and I think I've probably covered everything that is Greater Metaverse. It is obviously now the slow season. Oh yes, one final one. Oh, hang on. No, it isn't. It's a repeat of the psychological implications post. Seem to have done it twice. Okay, I think that's it for now. So while I get myself in order and switch to my other news feed, which is more in world based, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Tara for her take on the week. So welcome, Tara.
Thank you, Mal, and greetings of the holiday season, everyone. And greetings from the Pacific Northwest, where it's only damp and not like much of the U.S. Our LSIM is dealing with snow and ice and all that kind of stuff. So I'm very grateful for that. Unfortunately, this week has not been the best of weeks for me since I managed to pick up a bug and bring it home while I was out shopping last weekend. And so I've been down with a bit of a flu thing, I think. Anyway, I'm improving now, but there's still some lingering bits of that. Yes.
We'll forgive the croaking, I think.
Yeah, so I'm a little, yeah, I may sound a little nasal today because I'm a little congested still. And hopefully I will not need to mute myself to cough. That fortunately has settled down a bit too. Anyhow, well, last week you met the Purball, who has now become full-sized and is parked in front of the stage on a sled. And he's parked on a sled because these Christmas kitties, these holiday kitties, you can go sledding with, and that's the sled that reses. And I discovered I could tell him I was going to go for a sled ride, and he would happily wait as long as it takes for me to get around to doing so. So there he is, and you'll see he's a Christmas ornament. He has a little thingy on top of his head to hang him from a tree. Although there's no way to do that, except as a pose. But anyway, the other one I promised to introduce this week is the other new kitty, who is the Naughty Kitty. And the Naughty Kitty does what kitties do around Christmas trees, which is they get in them and they get into stuff. And what you'll see is he has gotten into the Christmas lights, and they're even still blinking. So that is just a particularly magnificent trick that the kitty cats folks have managed to pull off with the Naughty Kitties, who come in a number of different kitty cat styles. This one just happens to be a Siamese, but there are 5 or 6 different ones, and they're all looking like they're festooned, like they've been naughty, just like kitties will be this time of year. So anyway, so there's one that's naughty and one that's nice, and I think they both can go for sled rides. So there you go. And also, while I'm speaking of kitty cats has at least the last couple of years, 3 years, has had the tradition of an advent calendar with goodies from multiple creators, and always ending on the 24th, the final day of the advent calendar, with a holiday kitty cat. And that's going on for those of you who are into advent calendars, and you can go collect all of the items up through the current date. So if you haven't hit it already, you can go and collect everything from the first day of Advent through today, or wait a couple more days and get them all. One per customer, or one per avatar rather. Who knows what the Christmas kitty, the Advent calendar kitty is going to be this year, but we'll find out in a couple of days. Okay. From the lab, couple of items from the lab. First off, the lab did its requisite horn tooting at the end of the year. Look at all the things we've done, and actually, I think that's probably pretty well pretty well noted, and a good thing to kind of remind folks about things that have been improved this year. And I'll leave it to you all to read them, read through that list if you need a refresher course for short-term memory. But I think the most interesting thing to me was at the very end, where they make a very brief reference to the coming year. And the thing that has been noted elsewhere is full integration of Oculus Rift, which of course has been getting plenty of buzz for entirely most of the year. But the other item is that they are saying they have said, we'll see new options for experiencing Second Life on mobile devices. They say early in the new year. How early remains to be seen, but stay tuned. That could be very interesting. And the other item from the lab is they have put up your opportunity to go provide feedback on the marketplace, on Second Life Marketplace, and particularly on search, and ways that you would like to see it improved. It's a apparently the survey's got about a dozen sections, some of which are multi-part, asking for elements of the search functionality to be rated, and some of which offer users the opportunity to provide direct input and suggestions. So if you've groused about search on Marketplace, now is your chance. You have until January 6th to go take it, hit the official Second Life blog, and follow the link to get to the survey. I think this is a really important opportunity. It's not very often anymore that the lab seems to provide direct options for some input. And I certainly hear a lot of complaints about finding stuff in the marketplace. So here's your opportunity. Take advantage of it. And on the fun note, separate from the lab, it seems the absent for a couple of years, Stroker Serpentine has returned to Second Life. and he has built a new sim, and it's called Stroker's Sexpo. And they're having an event there, which started yesterday and runs until the middle of January. The news release, Stroker Serpentine launches his return endeavor in an effort to bring together Second Life's brightest talents from the fields of erotic fashion, captivating animation, and a plethora of decadent designers in a month-long holiday event. I paid a brief visit to the sim this morning just to check it out. There's obviously stuff yet to come in as far as shops and some of that, because there's lots of other people who are participating. And it looks like if you happen to be someone who is a designer or creator in that line of stuff, you probably can get in, and I'd suggest you go check it out. He says, Stroker says, for too long, the Second Life adult community has been bestowed a less than stellar reputation as the unspoken subject hidden away in skyboxes, ghettos, and dimly lit strip clubs. There are no other online venues that offer the degree of sexual expression and creativity, which we have often taken for granted here in Second Life.
I don't know if this is strictly true given the number of nude beaches around, but he also promoted this as Second Life's first only clothing optional sims.
Oh yes, yeah. I was getting to that. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Stroker Sexpo will be presented it's a brand new build, recently completed specifically for this event. It's built on quadrants with alleys and avenues with a whimsical steampunk appeal. I sort of picked up a little of steampunk, but it's not quite enough steampunky to really feel steampunky to me, but that was interesting. Anyway, there are a number of activities planned this month, including the month-long gala. There's a sim-wide hunt that launches on January 4th, a panty raid hunt, and one of our guests may have some comments to make about that. Let's see, Friday this 27th, is Stroker's infamous Nakey Friday. The 28th, a week from yesterday, they're having a naughty auction. with all proceeds to benefit Children's Miracle Network. And the probably the event of the season. Mark your calendars now. I don't know if it's invitation only or what, but Wednesday, January 15th is the Strokers Ball. Strokers Ball has a long history of in the RLSM because he used to stage this at Second Life community conventions. But this one is Inworlds. Anyway, there are free gifts to be had at the moment under Christmas trees. Obviously, adult content, so go check those out. And the event will be Second Life's first clothing optional fair. So no need to worry about coordinating the perfect outfit. And I'll leave the last line out about how you're supposed to.
Coordinate the attachments. I knew your cough would come back. I suspect that's deliberate.
That set me off. Anyway, yes, indeed. My last note for the day. A slightly more serious note here. The Linden Endowment for the Arts group was able to come up with a sim for a kind of a special event, which is 35 Elephants. And this is a spin-off. This is related to the work of Eliza Weirwright. And we talked about this a few weeks back when Safia was here and introduced us to her elephant topiary holiday tree, which I have one of and is resed here next to the stage for those of you who have not seen one. Anyway, the event in LEA 4 the aim is simple: to raise funds to sponsor 35 elephants at the Elephant Nature Park in Thailand. The sim makes full use of the region generously provided at short notice by LEA committee, and provides a means for visitors to not only donate to the efforts, but also to learn about the elephants, their plight in Thailand, where it is believed there are only 3,000 elephants left, and around 50% of them are living in captivity, many for the amusement of tourists. And photography of the Save the Elephant Foundation, one of their participants. The event kicked off yesterday and with a concert, if you missed the concert, we're busy out shopping or doing other things, which this is a very busy time of year. You can visit LEA 4, or you can stop by Eliza's store, which is in the Sim Patron or Patron, Patron, and pick up one of the wonderful elephant topiaries. These are just very cool. And all of the proceeds from the sale of those is going to that fund. As of a couple of weeks ago, there was already one of 35 elephants that have been completely funded, and I'd be surprised if there aren't some more that have been funded since then. So it's a really cool project, and definitely worth supporting. And I think that's all I have right now. And I know we have guests.
Yes, indeed. Wonderful, Tara. Just before I introduce our guests, actually, I was almost tempted to get Stroker on today, but I thought because we've had him on things like Grumpy Old Avatars and stuff, he's a really good chatty sort of person on a wide range of subjects. Well, I immediately thought with the launch of this, I'd noticed he was back in World a lot recently, and I thought with the launch of this, well, maybe the show would get hijacked a bit if I brought him on for this. So we'll leave that for another day. But we're going to have him on again at some point because it's a very knowledgeable chat.
Yeah, I should note, I didn't note it. The sim, for those of you who are enabled for adult locations in Second Life, is Strokers Toys. Strokers with a Z on the end, and Toys with a Z on the end, and a space between them is the name of the sim.
Very good. Well, Just before I move on, I was fascinated by, I don't know whether it was the tweets or the Fastbook or the Google Pluses or whatever it was this morning. But our old friend Prokofy never emerged with a lot of rapid fire posts, although very oddly for Prokofy, very short posts. But I gather that Linden Lab have also just launched a new sort of arrival portal, or the sort of place they dump all the new residents arriving on the grid. And apparently there are rather mixed reactions to this. Most people are saying, well, if they kept such and such member on staff, maybe they'd have done it properly. I gather one of the things people can do at the arrival portal is click on the gateway to take them to, is it the wilderness or something? But of course, you can't get in unless you're already a premium subscriber. And apparently, there's quite a few things about this new arrival.
Oops.
Apparently, there's a few things about this new arrival portal that don't quite resonate with people. So I don't know whether any of our guests will know anything about that. But maybe we'll get to it later or follow it up another week. Anyway, it is time. It is time. I have a load of sort of Inworld links here to sort of start us off with, but it is time to actually introduce the guests we've got with us today. First of all, back on the seat again. She's here every week behind the camera, but she's not always in a seat. And I'm glad to say that for the holidays, she's taken a seat with us again, and it's Petlive Petshop. Welcome, Pet. And, oh, yeah. You see, you can tell the camera when we're talking. She comes on air and starts worrying about the shot of herself. Very good. I'm hearing pops too. I'm hearing weird pops. Oh, forget about that for a minute. Anyway, on my other side, to my right-hand side, as I'm sitting, so to speak, stage left, as I believe it would be called. Next to me, I've got Rosamoo Mendelson, full name, of course, who has been with us before. You know her from Happy Hunting, and she'll also be telling a little about something else called the Slunties, the Hunties. So SL makes you slur your words, doesn't it? The Hunties. And so welcome, Rosamoo.
Thank you. It's good to be here again. Thank you for having me.
Right, we're going to come to all that stuff in a short second. It's also a welcome back to another friend of the channel. She works with the other channel, AView TV, quite a lot too, and of course AView's hard and everything else. But also she's very closely linked to the LEA. So appropriately, it's a welcome to Secret Rage. Welcome, Secret.
Thank you. Hopefully I've got my voice on here in Skype.
You certainly have. We can hear you loud and clear, even if Linda and I
Good.
are having a bit of a trouble making your mouth move. But that's you know
Okay.
that stuff happens too. We can actually pretend you're a ventriloquist and imagine that wonderful bird perched on you is the one doing the talk. Wouldn't that be
Okay, am I doing better now?
Oh yes,
Right, okay, good.
your lips
Okay,
are moving.
excellent.
Your lips are moving
Okay, then.
now, so I don't believe the ventriloquy anymore. I'm sorry. Your lips are moving. Anyway,
It's the bird has his claw up my back and he's moving my mouth. That's what it is.
oh, I see. The bird is the puppeteer. Wonderful, wonderful stuff there. Yes, not possible in real life. We do it here instead. Okay, well, thanks all for joining us, and a merry holiday season to you all. Yes.
Thanks.
As you can see, I've donned some suggestive regalia today. Not suggestive in the stroker sense, but
Oh, thank heavens.
suggestive in the Santa Claus. I'm currently known as Santa Claus, but since I'm a feline most of the week, that is spelled CLAWS. Santa Claus, aka Malburn's, aka Malburn's writer, assorted other personas. Not too many of them, really. You know that. Right. Well, to start us off, actually, I'm just going to go on an offshoot here. One of our great bloggers, of course, is Daniel Vidja, who has just not only celebrated a recent birthday, but he actually yesterday, I believe it was, celebrated his RL birthday. He's only 23 in real life. Oh, he's pretty well established 23-year-old. He's doing an amazing job with his blogs every day. And one of the blogs he had up this week, I believe it was yesterday, is exciting events ahead in 2014. Now, I think we'll be doing the looking back, looking forward a bit next week, but he does highlight some stuff coming up. The Home and Garden Expo will be coming up. Relay Life, of course, will be coming up again. Second Life's 11th birthday will be coming at this time round. Burn 2 will be coming again in 2014. Bay City will be having its 2014 annual events, and so will 1 Billion Rising be returning with a major event in next year. And a little bit advance notice. He has no details, none of us do, but of course there'll be the first Virtual World's Best Practices in Education conference yet again in 2014. None of those, all those are things that also happened this year and will be great for looking back on. They were all major events and they're all happening again next year. So thank you, Daniel, for that information. And of course, all the continuing wonderful stuff you post on your blog for us on a pretty much daily basis anyway.
I think Daniel cheated on that list.
Yeah, they're all rather obvious. Nothing new there, but I'm sure he'll be the first to come post the new items when he hears of them. Initially I thought this was SL Inquirer, but I realised it's another blog which I don't really think I've mentioned very much. But it's a blog called The Spotlight for You. All one word, .wordpress.com. And yesterday they published a rather interesting interview with a woman called Shay Sixpence. That's SHAE Sixpence, obviously an avatar name. She was a former model, but she has been involved in a lot behind the scenes, putting events on and things like that. And she's a major contributing personality to the fashion modeling world in Second Life. In fact, she's chief marketing officer for May May. Is that right, or do they mean Mimi? I'm not sure. But anyway, there is a fascinating interview with her published at that address. She even talks about her teenage years when she was involved with MUDs, which are MUDS, which was like a precursor to virtual worlds. And certainly she goes back into the history and stuff there too. So an interview well worth checking out. Somebody, oddly enough, decided to follow me in the week, although I have had them in my following list, I think, for some time. A site called Web Splunker, blogspot.com. Web Splunker is WEBSPELUNKER. And I guess if you remember how to spell it, it's a memorable name. They actually had a post up yesterday, Saturday, on social media in Second Life. And I posted it in my Second Life, my Inworld feed, so to speak. But it actually is equally relevant to real life and open sims and other virtual platforms too. Right. Tara already mentioned, I actually have a post here quickly from Kara's Corner, which is karasecondlife.blogspot.co.uk.com. It doesn't really matter. And she actually has a feature, yet another feature, in fact, because we've mentioned it quite a lot, about the 35 elements. Sorry, elements indeed, elephants. I'm in a bad way today. Currently happening at LEA 4. Have you got any comments on that? I might add, Secrets. You're quite heavily involved with LEA, aren't you?
Well, heavily.
I've lost your voice on Skype. I see your lip flapping World, but not on Skype. What's happened? Have you muted us?
Okay, that's better. I did. I was coughing. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Heavily, I would say, I'll say this much. I was just recently given an advisorship there, which I'm kind of proud of. It's kind of a fun thing. And as far as Eliza's bit over there, it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. I think it's a great cause. And I think she's doing a lot better than some may have initially would have thought she would be doing.
I gather
it's a big goal. It's a big goal. So I think she's doing quite well.
She's I know she's I forget what the goal total is, but she is well over halfway, which in
Yes.
itself is great news. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Well, and the thing is, just trying would have been a big plus in my eyes. So getting halfway there, even if she didn't get any further than that, is still, I mean, it's huge. So
Mm. And there's
she
still
did great stuff.
time left, so
Yes.
that's all for the good. The other post I got up from Linda Endowment of the Arts directly is I don't really know much about this. It's LEA2, the performance sim, and it's something called the Stronger. And now, if
It
I remember
is.
rightly, your mailing list has something on this earlier. Yeah.
Yes. Matter of fact, there's two more performances of it today. There's one at 1:30 and one moment. I want to
Oh,
say
yeah, 5 p.m.
yes, and 7.
Yeah.
1:30 and 7 today.
Oh,
And those will be the last shows of it. They'll be doing more shows there, but as far as the Stronger goes, those will be the last two shows of it.
okay.
Uh-huh. And Pit Guardian's doing that.
I've actually got the post up here, and it actually says today it's 5 p.m. SLT and 7 p.m. SLT.
She just sent out a notice, so I'm assuming she's changed up her time just a bit. Yeah, yeah. It's beautiful. Well, as a matter of fact, if you look on my blog on VTV, I took some pictures while I was there yesterday, and they came out quite good. So I think that it would give people a good idea of it if they're not able to get there themselves. It's really lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, it's simple.
It's always a matter of which comes first to me. Do I get it in the Twitter feed? Do I get it on the Facebook feed? Or do I get an Inworld notice? If I spend half an hour on one machine instead of the other, it's all coming in through a different channel again. So
Well, I don't want to miss anybody.
well, right, yeah, they did a wonderful job. I can't miss anything. If I'm not on one machine, I'm on the other, and I get it all. So great.
Well, when I hate to say this, but it's just the truth. If somebody comes in world and they say, "Well, I didn't hear about it because I didn't get any messages," I always want to just laugh because I feel like I'm a spammer, you know.
Yeah, there were no shortage of messages. I
Right.
get that with some colleagues of mine all the while. I get it in 20, the same message in 20 groups and through God knows how many avenues. And, because I'm sort of tangentially involved, but I keep thinking, sure, surely this event can't be missed with so many posts coming in from here, there, and everywhere. But obviously, if it's smaller groups, you need to be on, on the spam circuit, as it were, to get yourself known, so to speak.
hmm I really, for myself, if I have an opening or any number of things, if I'm in a show or I have an opening or something like that, I rarely put out a notice. It's just very, very, very rare because it's the whole I don't like to toot my own horn thing, But for the team, it's a different deal. I like to see everybody else get promoted.
Mm, of course. We need better communication systems in world, actually. There's so much going on these days. The days of the joining a group when you've got a limited number and following feeds and everything, and, all the other stuff that gets mixed in. It's sometimes hard to, identify everything that you might want at any given time.
I'd like to see some sort of arts clearinghouse, like an absolute center spot where every opening that is happening or every event at openings would be promoted at. Because, a lot of artists don't belong to like the larger groups, UWA or LEA. Even though a lot of people do, a lot of people don't too. I would love to see some sort of central area where those could be posted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Other than in search, other than in to actually go into your search and look there, because you still miss a lot there.
You
So,
do. The Second Life events, you do. It's a jumble. We
right, right,
uh,
And
exactly.
that's one of the things that I think was a disaster as I moved up along the Firefox versions, at some point they changed the way events are searched,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just the worst. I used to use that all the time. I mean, almost on a daily basis, and I almost never use. I can't think, maybe 3 times I've used it in a year. Yeah.
Oddly enough, I rely on, and this may sound really odd, but I rely on Google Calendar. A lot of, certainly earlier on, a lot of Inworld places, spaces, events had a Google Calendar that they could get people to sign up to. And I have a widget on my desktop that not only shows my calendar, but it shows all the things in the calendars I subscribe to chronologically. So
Hmm.
I have this good idea of events that I subscribe to, when they're going on at what time. But that only touches the surface these days because, a lot of people don't use Google Calendars. And, everybody has their own way of keeping tabs on these things. So, it's no easy task. It's a bit like you almost need like I live in London in real life, of course. There's a magazine here called Time Out in London, which isn't actually so good these days, I gather. But back when it was born, back in the 60s, 70s, all it did was just list everything it could get its hands on, so that it was as complete a directory as possible. And, so many people rely on that because, it's impartial. They scan everything and look things up by theatre, arts, music, that sort of stuff. But we need something like that for Second Life. And actually, I was talking out in the week to somebody who's very nearby here at the moment about a TV guide for Second Life, and even doing something like that is awkward because you've got people publishing shows just on YouTube. You've got other people using live stream like we do. You've got other people on Vimeo, and stuff that will qualify as being TV. In a general sense, not machinima, the whole breadth of it is popping up all over the place. And, to be able to post when the event's happening and audience seats and when they're going live and things like that, it would be actually quite hard in itself, with all the different people doing it. Anyhow, moving on. I'm going to move across to you, Rosamoo, actually, because firstly, I know you've got stuff to tell us about the hunties, but also just in terms of, I've actually got a blog open here, and it's not yours. I have to admit, it's not huntershell.com. It's
What is
actually
it?
it's actually fabfree.
Yep.
FABFREE.wordpress.com.
Hmm.
And they published on Friday, as they very frequently do, I think. It just says your Friday hunt report. And
Yes, that's my partner who does that.
oh, well, very good. We're interlinked then. Anyway, that
Yes.
that 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 provides me with a nice segue. I have this page open, and it looks like I have to scroll down the page a few miles. That's how many hunts are happening at the moment.
Yes.
So I'm sure I can't ask you to list all the hunts that are going on at the moment because I can see how many of them. But it might be fun if you told us what you think of the really big ones or useful ones or the one with the greatest prizes. I don't know, and of course
Oh,
the hunties too.
I think at this time of year, the biggest hunt that is, and it is truly one of the oldest ones, and it's not just the largest hunt, but it also has, I think, one of the best quality level of participants
Hmm.
is the Peace on Earth hunt. It's extraordinary, and there are designers and stores who go into that hunt, who participate in that, and that's the only hunt they do.
Hmm.
So from a hunter standpoint, it's a wonderful hunt to do. First of all, you're going to get great stuff. It's over 200 stores long, which makes it one of the longest ones that exists. And you find stores that you wouldn't otherwise see as you're working your way through the hunt world.
Yeah, that's the great thing about hunts: discovering new places generally.
It's great.
Mm.
And so that would be the one. If you can only do one hunt, that's the one I would recommend.
I think that's the key to it, actually. I mean, and if a hunter is of any size or used to you, it's very, very. Well, I find it very hard to do two hunts at once. I tend to, especially if they've got a HUD or something. I want to strap it on, make an avatar for the hunting process. No, I'm not talking about stroke. I'm talking about heads up this place, and then just go through it, and then get it over with. And then if there's time to do another hunt that's currently on, maybe launch into that. And then, to be honest, actually this week I don't think I've been on a single hunt because I keep having to teleport to all these various advent calendar places. Because the Advent gift runs out at midnight, and some of them are on a UK time, some of them are on Second Life time, and I've got this list. Oh God, hang on, I better get there before UK midnight, and then I've got to get to those before SL midnight, and only a few of them to be honest, but they tend to be rather good quality novelty items you get. So Advent calendars have been my thing this week, I'm afraid. But yes, there's a limit to what you can do at once. So something like Peace on Earth Hunt is obviously a major thing. Actually, it's so funny that, call me dumb or just word association or whatever, but that hunt is usually advertised as the POE hunt.
Yes.
And I always think of Edgar Allan Poe and think it's a Gothic hunt, and then I suddenly click, oh, no, of course, that Poe hunt is the Peace on Earth hunt. A slight...
And it is anything but Gothic.
I know, which is, the Poe hunt, well, never mind, we're all fascinated with the Edgar Allan Poes. It's interesting, there was a post I received today, I haven't loaded it as a link actually, but it was from Mad P. And it was announcing that they've got a new hunt that's going to be happening in next year. I think it's February, but it's going to be their first. It's going to be their first adult hunt. And once again, it is very scary and gothic. And in fact, I know Chiara, right, I think it is, Mappy, actually said that, it's a deliberate tactic to do this because the scary, spooky, sort of dark hunts are actually the most popular. When they do those, they get the much more phenomenal response than when they do some of the more esoteric kind of ones they used to do. So it makes sense for them to do that. But apparently this one is going to be so scary or challenging, it's going to be adults only.
And I presume that most of the gifts will be geared towards adults as well.
Well, exactly. Maybe they made a deal with Stroker. Who knows? Or maybe we'll see Mad P crafted Stroker items. Yes, that will be intriguing in itself, I think. This is all Tara's fault. She shouldn't have mentioned Stroker.
Oh, thanks. Hey, part of, you get a relatively slow news week, and we're into that time of year when news kind of comes to a halt. And hey, here's an item that's worth talking about.
Yeah, I know. So, it's even more interesting than interestingness.
Well, and he has a hunt going on, so he's got his hunt on our
good.
huntsl.com.
Yeah, the one that starts on the 4th.
The panty hunt, is that what it's called?
Yeah, there's one that started that's running now, actually. I'm going to have to open up a page and look for it, but there is one. He's got one that's running right now.
In the UK, we would call it the knicker hunt, actually, not the panty hunt. I don't like that word, panties. You Americans love it, but doesn't seem right to me. But yes. Well, we'll find out about the panty hunt later. If you arrive unclothed, I imagine the panties might come in rather useful, or not, as the case may be. I'll leave that to Stroker to comment on. Okay, moving on rapidly, I think. Yeah. It is I guess this holiday season is also what we call the silly season, so do forgive us, folks, if we seem to be rambling on. Yeah, anyway, there are actually so many hunts on 12 days of Christmas. Toys for Tots hunt that finishes today. Right, that's in the simple stuff thing. We did actually at the top of the show, I forgot to mention this, before we came live with the Inworld review, we were actually showing some clips at the top of the show, which I should have mentioned at the time. The first clip we showed was actually about a thing called Face Rig, which is a Kickstarter project which allows you to create a virtual avatar for using with your webcam, but really totally realistic and controlled by your facial movements. And it just looks so good. I had to show that. But I know there was actually a clip of oh yes, we showed a clip called Christmas Journey just before the show went live, and that was actually a thing that benefited Relay for Life, and I think it actually may be coming up later. But we also have another clip of various events that have been benefiting the Toys for Tots. Very recently, over and beyond the actual Toys for Tots hunt. Okay, let me move on to a few things that may prompt us too. Kara's Corner, karasecondlife.com, blogspot.com, sorry, has a post, as there have been several posts this week, about a new special arts exhibition at Lost Town. Now, Lost Town's been getting a lot of attention recently. This isn't part of LEA, isn't it? No, the sim is actually called Land of Glory, or 3 words. But it's a multiple arts exhibition that's actually happening on that sim. Do either of you know about that, perchance? Or
Not I.
right. This happens quite often in this show. I dig up things and sort of I read the summaries and I bookmark them to mention on this show, but having not visited myself, all I can do is say, "Oh, this sounds intriguing, folks." That's all I can tell you. No. It's called Lost Town. Um, the location's called Lost Town, although its actual Second Life name is Land of Glory. But it's multiple arts, and it features amongst others Rebecca Bashley, who did she did the Invisible People and stuff. I'll tell you who's partaking. I don't really know. Nexuno Thespian is another name that's very familiar. The other 4 I don't really know. Human Mayo, Mo Sandalwood, Lilia Artist, and Havit Neox. Yeah.
All good artists. Lilia Ortiz is wonderful. Havant Neox is. They're all great artists. Everybody that you named on the list.
I'm looking at the pictures, and this looks like something to pop in on for sure.
Yes, it would be definitely one to go see.
Yeah. And it's a rather odd article. This at first it gives you the impression it's a collaboration, and then it gives you the impression it's actually separate installations by the artist. But it's promoted as a multi art thing, and probably. It's hard to tell in these pictures, actually. I mean, the best pictures are actually at the top, and they're pure graphic delights. And then lower down, we can see environments where there are various critters. There's a lot of birds in one of the environments, and a strange semi-invisible woman on a bench looking at the environment. So I think the invisible people thing might have sort of drifted over. The concept has drifted over to this one as well. But anyway, it's certainly one that I will hopefully go and see. As usual, I make no promises because I bookmarked it, but as always happens, another week goes by and I don't get there and it's vanished. But with the holiday season upon us, I certainly will have more time personally to actually go in and look at some of these things while it's all quiet. So hopefully I'll be making my way across to some of these things. Now, the other art related one I've found is I've actually got a website up called the Daily Looks SL, DAILYLOOKSL.de. And it's written in English. You'll be glad to know, given that address. And it's about an art installation called Roots and War. Roots as in the roots of plants, and war as in naughty people trying to kill each other. Looks intriguing too. Again, I'm going by the graphics of the pictures I can see. Highly symbolic imagery, I would say. And obviously what I'm seeing in pictures here is actually built in 3D space. There's even one which is rather surreal. It's sort of a globe connected by roots to another globe, and one globe has got this sort of hand emerging from it, intriguing looking. I can't, tell from the pictures exactly what the meaning is. I suspect it's the sort of thing where you have to be in the 3D environment with this around you to understand it. Again, I ask, has anybody come across this one? Roots and War.
Nope.
I think not. I love this. Anybody heard this? Absolute silence. So check out Daily Looks SL DE for more about this. And yeah, it's one of these blogs where there is a sort of link, but oh, hang on. Yay! I found it. Okay. The location for this is a sim called Songbird, and it's two separate words: song space bird, and the coordinates 162, 132, and then 1495. So it's high up in the sky, basically. And yeah, that looks like a good one to visit. So base. Oh, I can't tell from the pictures. I very much doubt it. I think it's a symbolic expedition, which sort of looks at the war conceptually. But the roots thing, like this one with the two globes connected by what looked like the roots of a plant. I think the roots thing comes into this. How exactly they mesh the concept of war and the concept of roots. I'm not quite sure. I think it's a thing where you'd have to be there. It does look good, though. It does look like symbolism rather than, sort of realistic sculptures or anything. But it's clearly a theme that they're working on. Okay, we've covered Stronger, and of course we've covered our elephants. Oh right. Once again, through the lifestyle feeds, SL fashion bloggers, there's a blog called Blogging SL. You can find it at bloggingsl.net. And it's sort of related to hunts and art, but a very different thing, really, is that winter is coming, a quick look at role play events. And this particular blog basically has a roundup of the Fantasy Collective and a Fantasy Catcher Carnival and Enfant Terrible and you name it, the Blogging Elf. Basically, it's a roundup events that kind of invite you to engage, not so much installations that you experience, but actually events that you engage with and actually play parts in, not theatre, but just per se, but just role playing and role play sims are actually quite fascinating. I'm certainly not a role player any more than I'm really a gamer in any sense, but often you will find role play sims whose purpose is actually wholly educational. In other words, you will go to ancient Rome. They will recreate an environment that's as close as they can make it to ancient Rome. And the role play is not just to pretend to be a Roman soldier or something, but you actually, you take on the persona and conduct strict role play that's designed to educate you as to the reality of the times and things like that. So, I always like to look for these role play things in case something serious to my mind comes up in the context. But even if you just want to be a wizard in a medieval realm, that's fun too. So. If you're interested in anything like that, it might well be worth checking out bloggingsl.net. And this post was back, the actual post was on December the 16th, so you'd have to go back a few days to find this. Interestingly, this is Blogging SL, it's listed under Blogging SL for women. So, so it doesn't seem to be anything particularly woman-like about some of this, but I think their focus is on role play for women. So, but then again, that probably includes all types of role play because there's as many men as there are women.
Women don't role play. Come on, be serious.
Well, Well, I
He's obviously talking about men who choose to play women, and so that's what his role
Yeah,
There's a lot more of that, I think.
well,
Yeah,
imagine,
that.
you get these fantasy scenarios like Amazonian women or something. For all I know, there's Sims where, well, there was probably Sims. Yeah, there's probably Sims that are actually dedicated for women to role play amongst themselves, just as there are Sims that are kind of women's refuges, as equates to the same
Women,
sort of thing in real life.
female.
Mm,
I was going to say female avies, maybe, but not necessarily women.
Well, essentially,
Right.
there's a whole load of role play stupid stuff for men, get planes and shoot each other down or hunt zombies and stuff. And I actually think that they're made for men, but I'm quite sure a few women play them too. So these. When I see something for women, I kind of wonder, it's for anybody who wants to partake, I would hope, as long as they get into the spirit of the thing and don't upset anybody else.
I am going to unfortunately have to run pretty soon. I would like to share just a little bit of a news item with you if I could before I go.
Yeah,
I know that you're planning on doing some machinima viewing after we're done here, but
yeah.
I would love to congratulate the winners. I'll just read the little piece.
Yeah, I'll just explain what's going on here. Is that a science fiction sort of based machinima contest has been going on.
Mhm.
It's not the usual UWA
Correct.
machinima thing, but the UWA have been involved, and the results of winners are posted today. We're going to be showing the 5 that Jay posted today in our machinima section, along with Black and Mirror 3, by the way, immediately after the show closes. But there are some links in this to another YouTube site where the other machinima in this contest are posted, and I've yet to go and get to those to review. But you, Secret, of course, have the results and a copy of the. You're going to read out, aren't you, basically?
I will.
Yes.
I will do that.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Okay. UWA was partnered with a real life sort of situation. But the part that's pertinent to us, I think, is the second life connection, which would be the winners. We like the winners. Okay, so
Second life
uh,
again.
exactly, because that's what applies to us. The machinima portion of the inaugural project was a sci-fi film challenge, um, and it was centered around Australia. I think the whole thing actually, in the real life portion, is in Australia. I could be mistaken. At any rate, amazing works came in from some of the finest machinima creators on the planet. But once again, and this would be quoting JJ, JJ said, the sublime Tutsi Navaratna took top spot with his remarkable The Residents, which was a machinima exploring worlds upon worlds. Erythro Asimov's Looking Around won out in a close battle over Vilvi Ray's Revive and Fuchsia Nightfire and Blind Boy Gumbo's Growing Robots for first, second, and third runners-up. Ava Jean Westland's Century's Path rounds out the top 5. She also won the UWA Centum Special Prize, along with Glasdicur's Misgiving. Arrival by Cine Studios was adjudged the best film overall, taking out the AUD3, I'm not certain what that is, top prize. A full list of winners can be seen on their Screen My Shots Facebook site. And it was not, I don't think, one of their longer competitions, but I think it had some really nice results. I'm really proud of everybody, and congratulations to all the winners.
And that was. Yeah, they literally just posted an hour or two before we came on air, so great timing. And now, in the process of investigating that, I did actually find there is a YouTube channel called Screen My Shots too. So I suspect If you look up Screen My Shots channel on YouTube,
Mhm.
you'll actually probably find all the entries in one place. And
Right.
I'm sure, of course, AView has gotten most of them
Right.
posted in his ad.
We do. And also, UWA has it on their blog spot as well.
Right.
So,
We do.
you know, they don't, but they will be.
Yeah, it's that the results are too. They're literally a couple of days to a post. Not only the results announced 2 hours ago, but the posts went up on YouTube 2 hours ago, so they haven't had time to filter through the system yet. In fact, the residents and the what was it, coming something or other. Those two are actually in last week's program. We showed them last week, but the remainder will be coming up in this week's show. Or this week's week in
You
view.
know what I really like about that is things are starting to turn, I think, a little bit. Machinima was always very, very SL based, or very whatever world you created it in based. Now I think it's starting to get little tiny leaks, a little bit at a time, out into the mainstream. You know,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it might be a slow trickle, but I think that bit by bit, it's going to crawl its way out, and I think it's going to be a really yes. I agree. I mean, how many
Yeah.
places can you have such a low budget film? Really? Right. Right.
It's funny. It's funny. I was thinking this morning. I'm prone to wandering around when I get up in the morning, talking to myself. And, that's what I call thinking. But anyway, I was just thinking this morning. I don't know. I can't quite remember the context, but I was just imagining a scenario where something came up that was an advert or something like that that got huge viral traction, and people, it would be a machinima, but it would be such that people just didn't realize it was a machinima, and then you better
Mhm.
turn around and say, yeah, this is machinima. You thousands, millions of people watching this virally. Nobody's
Well,
promoting
you
it.
mentioned. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So yeah.
Well, you mentioned the limitations of animation, though, Pat. Think about the limitations in animation in real life actors. Like, if you want your character to fly, think about all the rigging it takes to do that. Right? hmm Loss of life is always something that could be,
And all the
yeah.
Medical
extras,
expenses.
hmm
Yeah. Well,
all the costuming and
I, al-
costume extras,
I also, I actually I hate things.
food,
I hate having
booze.
my, sorry. I hate having my watching interrupted by advertising. I really am not a big fan of the world that involves heavy advertising at all. But when you do look at things, you've got adverts, just 2 minutes long or even less, 30 seconds, where they spend money on CGI, and there's heavy use of cartoons and things like that. It's like it's almost only a matter of time before some advertising agency somewhere will make the animation look a bit different. We'll do that thing called machinima, and maybe that will be the breakthrough. Um, it needs. Mm.
Well,
Tell
you
them
know
it's
why. You
tell
know why.
tell them
World
it's
You know
Bogey.
exactly why. Yeah.
tell them tell.
Well, well,
Thank
uh,
you, Bet.
for the same reason that many people in many countries joined SL to start with. It wasn't to be a creator. Let's just put it that way. Um, unfortunately, even though we'll call it adult situations are something that adults should be able to express in whatever form they choose. Um, for us to be taken seriously, we have to get that stigma away from Second Life. That's really what it boils down to.
I think we, we, well, yeah, I think embrace it, to be honest, in a way, because you look at the early web, early advances in videotape and stuff. The porn industry led all that stuff in terms of consumer access. It's a huge market, and if it's that huge a market, why it's
Yeah,
still.
but yes, but you know what? Ad agencies, even though they take a lot of risks, I think they also try and not take a lot of risks as far as their
They don't,
money goes.
But
Um,
they don't take a lot
you
of
have to
risks.
follow the
They're
money.
very
yeah,
conservative guys. They're all
Mhm.
very conservative businessmen.
Right. I agree
but
with you totally.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah. In America, it's a peculiar situation where it seems around your coast you're fairly forward-looking, and anywhere away from the coast is very backwards.
Sex sells and everything, but for God's sake, don't mention that it
But
does.
when I talk about embracing, when I talk about embracing the sex in Second Life, it's like embracing sex on the web. It's there. It's always been there since the beginning, but there's more there now than just sex. And I think you need to promote it that way. You say, yeah, of course there's sex there. There's sex everywhere, but it's fun. It's not all sex. And,
Yeah. But see, people have that flavor in their mouth though. That Second Life is that. Like,
but,
I've talked to people that play other sort of games and things like that online, and every time I've mentioned it to somebody in my real life that actually knows what Second Life is, I get that look.
I
You
know.
know the look. Look like, okay.
I've had that. I've had real life friends who aren't engaged with it at all and don't really understand it. And say, "Isn't that the place where they have sex?"
Exactly. See, but that's
But
exactly what
you
the
know,
problem is.
I,
It's that's the first thing that people think when they hear Second Life.
but
For a lot of people.
if I go up to somebody and say, "Well, we'll make you a machinima," I don't say, we use Second Life. Well, I could make something in Second Life and tell them it's made in Open Simulator and say, "What's Open Simulator?" To all visualists. Yeah, well, yeah, but no, I wouldn't, if you see what I mean.
Just less sex.
What's important is I've used an online immersive platform to create an inhabited work of art. And a movie, it doesn't matter which platform I filmed in. I mean, when I introduce this show, sometimes I say, "Here we are live from Chilbo in Second Life."
Hmm.
But if I didn't say that, the viewers at home, might. I've got a studio. I've got a studio on OS, which has no live, but it's a backup so I can broadcast on the hypergrid. For all the viewers at home, though, they probably recognise the sets, but other than that, I could just as well be in OS grid right now. So we use an inhabited immersive to do our shows. It doesn't really matter that we happen to be in one called Second Life. It happens. Better facilities here. Nothing to do with sex. We just have good facilities in Second Life that have best everything. And broadcasting is an example of something far removed from sex in Second Life, as a rule.
Yeah, the thing the thing you have to remember, Mal, is those folks who are advertising executives and are out there selling advertising and advertising production to business owners aren't in the business of disabusing people of their notions to what their set piece is on what Second Life is.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I know.
So it's one of those that I guess the other difference I see is Second Life is one specific destination,
Yeah.
whereas
I
the internet is a whole lot of different things. So
Yeah.
it's like OpenSim or some of those other places may be able to parlay that on the advertising front more easily than Second Life can, even though there's lots of reasons Second Life is a better place to do it.
Yeah, no, I'm at heart, I'm really talking about production. I mean, I can potentially just say to a client, well, we can do a treatment of this that is unusual, and we'll do it on the computer. I don't tell them whether it's CGI, offline machinima, inhabited machinima in a virtual world or not. Usually what happens is you get a brief from a client. And if the brief is loose enough to try different things, you usually a couple of options. You don't just go ahead and do a thing and say, "Here, we've done this for you," because they always want to come in and interfere. You want to give them various options. So if you show them blindly a CGI and a movie storm machinima and an inhabited virtual world machinima, but don't specify what they're watching, they'll actually resonate with whichever the three they think suits their purpose as the one paying for the advert.
Mhm.
So
Well, folks, as much as I hate you, I've got to leave your good
you,
company. I'm
oh,
gonna poof on out of here. If I don't see the rest of you, before the holidays, whichever one you celebrate, I hope it's marvelous and your New Year's wonderful.
indeed, and
Same to you,
And
Secret.
you too.
Thanks. I'll see y'all
same
later.
to you. Thanks for being here. And
Waves.
pet love
Bye
will
bye.
no, pet love will no doubt come away from you as you go poo. Indeed,
Off
I
I
know.
go.
Indeed, I'm watching the milestone. She's already invisible because she's not in camera, as we say. Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Secret. Great to have you. Right, I guess we're going to get a bit freeform now. The only other thing, link I to obviously have open here is for a Christmas Carol. SL Alcoholics, WordPress.com, would you believe? SL Alcoholics, all one word, WordPress.com. A Christmas Carol. The post was back earlier in the week on the 16th. But as those of you who know your literature probably know of Charles Dickens. And actually, just as anecdotal, Neil Gaiman was involved in a Dickensian event in the week, and he cropped his hair a bit, and he was dressed up as Charles Dickens. He did a bloody good job of it, didn't he? You didn't even recognise him as Neil Gaiman. But anyway, Christmas Carol is a rather well-known novelette by Charles Dickens, and it is actually being performed here in the virtual world of, dare I say, Second Life. Yeah, sex and Charles Dickens. That would be fun, wouldn't it? Never mind, never mind. That's not what it's about. Yeah, yep, okay. Anyway, that blog actually has a little review and some nice pictures of the performance set up for A Christmas Carol, which is being performed in Second Life. I don't actually have times and dates. I think it's a very regular event at the moment, but you'd have to look it up and find out the times. So that's all the links I actually has specifically open. So let's get back to what's going on. I did mean to. I think I asked at the top of the show if any of you were familiar with Linden Labs' new Welcome Portal. What do you think? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I was just going to say it's always been
My
it's always been rather a good job I do this show on Sundays actually because I can safely discard these IMs. Say come and worship with us. They're very cheeky and very pushy evangelists and so so well, yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's true. I think they get holiday commercial rather than holiday religious these days. But
mm.
there's a bit of overlap. Yeah. and the, and the, and we'll be we now invite Stroke Conservative to the stage to give out the prize. Yes, indeed, indeed. It's everything is included in the celebrations because if there's a chance to sell, they're going to sell it. That's for sure. Yeah, I was really quite intrigued because the posters. I think we all know Prokofiev Nevo as being somebody who loves to post extremely long posts that go into intricate detail about everything. And Prokofiev was actually posting all these short posts, which were picking holes continuously as he was wandering around this landing point. So I guess I don't know. Maybe it's probably swings and roundabouts. Some things they got better, and maybe they've neglected a few other things. So I guess we'll find out about that. Okay, now, Rosamoo, we've concluded that there are far too many hunts, apart from Poe,
Oh yes.
to go on at the same time. But we have something else to discuss, and that is the hunties, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, speaking of all the hunts, I remember when I started doing hunts, there was a woman um, named Maleficent Benoit, or I can't remember her last name anymore.
Yeah.
And she had a hunt blog. It was the first one I'd ever seen. And I think she actually went out, did all of the hunts, and posted all of the hints that I think she created. And she was able to do that for quite a while. That's how few hunts there used to be. Now, on our hunt blog, I don't think we have had a census of less than 100 for a long, long time. It peaks at Halloween, of course, in October, but it's just you can't even do all the hunts, let alone go through and actually blog them all.
That's interesting. Would there be more at Halloween than there are now?
Oh, I think Halloween is the big season. Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
Mm.
Huh.
Actually, of course, you have Thanksgiving in the middle too. So this whole oh yeah.
Just a
Yeah,
little bit.
Thanksgiving. Yes, Thanksgiving is definitely a quiet holiday. It's a food. Yeah, it's family and eating is
Yep.
what Thanksgiving is about, and it's not about the businesses have happily avoided trying to commercialize Thanksgiving.
Okay.
You know,
They're actually getting castigated for trying to make people work on Thanksgiving. Finally.
yeah.
You but you make up for it with your Black Monday or whatever it's called. Black
Black
Friday.
Friday.
So and Cyber Monday now it's online. But yeah, you have a war. a war on the
Mm.
supermarket floors. But yeah, those that want it, I suppose. Anyway, no,
No.
let's
Well,
get back to that. Yeah.
well, there's just such a huge community right now and so many things going on, and it's very people don't stop to think to say thank you. And so in a sense this developed out of the idea that we should acknowledge and appreciate the people who do so much work to make the hunts happen. You know, the designers who create the gifts that you get, the organizers who work very hard to run a good hunt. It's not easy to do a good hunt. It's easy to do a crappy hunt. Excuse me, a lousy hunt. But a good hunt is hard to do and takes a lot of effort. And we just thought it's time to sort of acknowledge these people in this community. And it is sort of a hunt community. I like to think of it that way anyway. Yeah. And people are so generous. They're so generous.
Mm.
Yeah.
I also know as a hunter when I do go on hunts that I think it's against the rules, but talking about helpful, some people say, hey, it's over there, mate. Which that's definitely very helpful for people like me who get totally lost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm, mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll dream up 1,000 other clues, but won't actually tell you where it is. Yeah.
But
Now,
if you yeah, go ahead.
so now I was just going to come back to the hunties. Quite intriguing here. Obviously, the idea is to reward or more to the point, acknowledge the
Yeah.
people working on this. I'm curious to how the hunting is going to be structured because there's obviously two sides to this that I can see. There are the very generous people, for one thing, albeit a way to attract people to their sims, who actually donate, in many cases, comparatively valuable in virtual goods terms,
Mm.
prizes that they win.
Mhm.
So these are people who willingly open up their Sims and take part in these hunts. Yeah, obviously they get publicity out of it, so it's not all sort of totally altruistic. But I mean, yeah, but it's an engagement factor too. And then, of course, there are the organizers of the hunt itself, the people who presumably dream up the clues and who actually pull all the stores taking part together or the locations taking part together. And of course, some are just locations, they're not stores. So there's really a wealth of possibility here as to categories, as it were, for the hunters. So do you have a sort of finite plan,
Yes.
as it were, for
Oh,
categories?
yes.
Yeah.
We have only 15 categories, and I have to say there was a little discussion at the beginning. I wanted to have a lot more categories, but I kind of got told, no, that's not a good idea. And I think that everybody else was right in the end.
Yeah.
But
No,
we have about about half of them are dedicated to personal avatar adornment, and there are several that are about the environment that of Second Life,
right.
and then about four of them at the end are really about the hunts themselves. The best theme, the best organizer, or the best organized hunt, and then the best grid-wide hunt and the best store or sim hunt.
Right. I say now. I don't know whether we will. Hopefully, we will, or one of our parties will televise these awards when they happen. But
Yes,
you know,
they will be.
I'm ah, hardcore, hardcore. We are on the endless quest for new camera people, are we not? One of whom is with us today, believe it or not.
Yes.
I'll say hello to a chap called Resles who's with us today. You can't see him; he's behind the scenes, but he's learning. He's learning a little bit about doing something for real with us today, as it were. But that aside, obviously, last week we did. But after the show last week, we did the Avi Awards.
Oh,
Which,
we're not going to be on that scale
no,
at
no,
all.
no. Oh, just hang on a second. The results of that are up. The day before that, Saturday, we broadcast. It was with another company. We broadcast the Miss Virtual World, which is even more of a nightmare. So when you tell me you've got 20, when you tell me you've got 20 categories and it's all
15.
it's 15, right? Then my heart lifts up a bit because I think, oh, it's going to be manageable.
Well, we're hoping to do it in a 30-minute, as close to the 30-minute live broadcast as possible.
Mm.
And it will be. This is the first time that Happy Hunting will do an actual live broadcast.
Oh, right. So it will be a special from Happy Ending. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm noting on the technical side, I'm probably getting indulgence here, but the difference of those two events last weekend, where the first event was laggy, heavily built Sims, laggily heavy costumed contestants, and you name it, it was very, very difficult. By rights, he says, sorry, your estate management, we can't broadcast this, we can't even stand here, let alone the camera.
Yeah.
But that was the full glory and handing out the awards and all that stuff, which is great fun if it's manageable and you can do it with a limited audience and lag free. But then come the next day when AVU broadcast the Avi Awards, for example, that was fairly extensive. But they've learned from the past. What they did is it was an awards show. They didn't make the presentations; they announced them. So it was a fairly straightforward thing of coming on, and now the best one for this and this and this is this. So we didn't. There was none of this thing of people actually having to come up on the stage and wait for 10 minutes while they raise just in order to take their little prize.
We have the benefit of Safia's experience and wisdom, so we rely on that, and we will not be awarding. We will be announcing as well.
It is probably a very safe way to go. Actually, you've just reminded me. Before the show was live, something was mentioned, and I thought, "Way, great! We're all joined together somewhere by the hip here." Secret designed the award for the Hunties.
She
Is that right?
she she created the piece that we're going to use as the award. which is a hand holding. It's basically a hand holding a magnifying glass.
Ah, yes, Sherlock Holmes style. Hunting.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And she did a beautiful job on it. Really
A
wonderful.
shame. It's a shame she's had to leave before we can drown her with these commendations. But yes. Yes, I know. Is that a hint, pet love? You want a short show? Yeah, I think that we may be beginning our fizzle out stage. Actually, yeah. No, I love the open-endedness of the show. It will be possible to record it and edit it and whatever, but I think viewers get, especially in replay, get a much better feel for things because we're just sitting down naturally talking, and the conversation goes where it will, unless we really drift off course. So sometimes it's long, sometimes it's short, and whatever. But yeah. Well, before we look at other things to finish with, anything else on the Hunties? When do we know when it's going to be broadcast?
Well, the balloting ends on at midnight, the stroke of midnight, when 2014 comes in.
New Year's Eve, in other words.
Yes, this is going to be the best of 2013, right. And we're going to broadcast on January 10th.
Right.
And everybody, there are ballots all over the place. We've got ballot boxes, kiosks up with many stores who are in hunts, and as well at happyhunting.wordpress.com and huntsl.com. So there are lots of places to find a ballot, and people just tack their name on it and send it to me, and it will get tabulated the first week of January.
All right. When is the 10th? When is the 10th? That sounds like a Saturday or Sunday.
I believe it is a Friday.
Oh, okay. Don't know why I thought. Well, that's close enough to the weekend. Very good. So you won't be competing with our show here. That's all I'm bothered about, really.
No, that's our usual.
Yo ho ho ho! Yo ho ho ho! I haven't had a chance to do that bit yet. Ho ho ho! And a barrel of fun I am. Right.
And well, the only other thing I should mention is that Happy Hunting is going to start a new season with a new format, and we are going to be doing a show every week. We're going to have shows starting at the end of January. We'll post a show every Friday.
Great.
It's been every other week until up to now, and we decided, very much at Pet's urging, that we should be doing a weekly show. So that's
yes, I mean, I thought the things have really been rather fun. Yeah. I think you paid the way for that a bit because one of the nice things in 2013 was the mini hunt show. The
minis, yeah, those were fun.
Which kind of filled the gap between the main shows, so there was a sort of constant report there. But every week on a Friday is great. We can bring it in and show it on this channel 2 days later and stuff, and a regular. Ah. That's probably one I avoided because I would probably be.
Doing all the don'ts.
I will become immediately aware that I'm a don'ter. Oh dear, I'm doing the don'ts, not the do's. Bit of a tongue twister there. That's great. So Happy Hunting Weekly, and
Thank you.
Great way to keep up. Especially as broadcast. It saves people going to 1,000 different blogs. Not that it will put them all going to your blog, of course. That would be adjunct to the show.
We're a clearinghouse. We're a clearinghouse.
Yeah, so that's all good news, and certainly look forward to the awards. Now, let me move our focus before we round up the show to what's happening over the holiday season. We won't be here again live till this time next week. all of you, really. Petlive, Tara, Rosamoo. Anything exciting you can think of coming up that people should be captivated with if they indeed have any spare time over the holiday period? Let's start with Pet. I think, Pet, you might be muted because I can see your waves, not your sound on Skype.
I'm hearing
Or
Petlive
fine.
just fine.
It's fine. Headset. I've got a horrible feeling I'm the one who's lost sound.
Okay, I think it's Mal who has lost. I just did.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm on speakers and I can hear you now. I'm just going to replug the headset, and I think that's what we want as well. Carry on.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, folks. If there's a tiniest bit of echo, it's because I'm now on speakers. My headphones gave up on me. Replugging them did not help. Okay, I'm not sure we were there because it didn't really. Wasn't it? Anything exciting coming up?
No, I'm just trying to keep up with RL and everything else going on.
Yeah, it does. It does kind of hijack us rather. I'm beyond. I'm beyond worrying about all these days, so I should probably look around doing some hunting.
I did want to ask Tara, do you know what the financial goal is for the elephants?
Funding 35 elephants is my understanding.
Do you know what that comes to?
I think the figure I have seen is something like, Mel, could you mute when you're not talking? Because I'm seeing a lot of echo coming for me when you, yes, okay. 27,000 lindens per elephant is what it takes.
Oh, that's great. Okay. That's very doable.
So, yeah, it's doable. It's doable. I think very much.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. It's another one of those projects that I guess what part of what strikes me about it is it is so imminently translatable into a virtual environment. It's like Relay for Life is such a natural put down a track and then do all the things you can do in a virtual environment that there's no way you can do with a high school track in an RL in a real life event.
Well, I remember after the Japanese earthquake a couple years ago, some woman out of the blue put together a fundraiser. She got a sim and put together a fundraiser to help save the animals in the northern part of the country who had been affected by the earthquake and were in such dire trouble. And she raised more than $25,000 apparently. I mean, it was extraordinarily successful. So that's very wonderful that people in SL really seem to turn out and be delighted to help with things like this.
Yeah, I think it's very cool. It's very cool. And as far as my plans are, this next little bit, having been down with the flu here this week, I'm looking forward to feeling like myself again. And doing a little catching up on some things like some hunts. And I picked up a couple of items on the Peace on Earth hunt, but because I happened to see the sign when I was in on something else in a couple of stores, but so that's on my agenda. Yes, and things. Oh yeah, I'm not there yet, but I'm getting closer, and yeah, oh yeah, I will. I've been on the mend here for a couple days, but as anyone knows, these things tend to just have to run their course, and you start feeling physically better, and then but you find yourself hitting hitting crash and burn about 4 hours into the day, and well, nap time.
But it does feel so better when you get well.
Oh yes, yeah. So and and of course, then there's always the fun process of the show we do after Christmas, of looking at the year past, and then looking at the year ahead to whatever degree we do. Um, I tried making some predictions here about 3 years ago, and my batting average was so awful. I swore off ever doing it again. Anyhow, so Mal, back to you. You can unmute yourself and rap, I think.
I was just going to say, it would help if I muted myself, didn't it? Yeah, about time. Yes, indeed. Predictions do have a way of going a bit awry. But, we get some right, probably. Or somewhere close. So, yes, bearing in mind I gather there's a bit of an echo on my voice, in some places at least, I think we will sort of call this a wrap now. I'm just looking over on what's coming up on the channel. A couple of notes on that, basically. Our first section next, if you're watching this in replay, by the way, do go to Metalworld 2, your virtualities on live stream. And watch replays of the Inworld review, the whole, weekend review, the whole of it, of which this is just part. What we have coming up, if you are watching live right now, is the Machinima section first. We have let's see, I've forgotten what it's called already. We have a teaser for a film, Machinima film that's coming up, of Paradise Lost. It's only a teaser trailer, it's not the full film yet, but looks very interesting indeed. And
I saw a mention of that, and I'm kind of staggered by the very concept, because Paradise Lost in its full length is rather long.
I had similar feelings. I mean, the trailer looks fine, but that would be a really epic undertaking. But if they can do it, it could be one of those breakthrough machinima that we're waiting for. Who knows? But it's in the works, which is exciting at least. We're also going to be showing the third episode of The Black Mirror. We didn't show this last week because the mechanics of synchronizing a 2 o'clock start aren't really very practical, except for, on the special occasions. So we sort of thought, well, we'll hold it back and we'll show it a week late. We'll get a break and we'll still show it. And of course, episode 4 won't be until the new year anyway, so we're looking forward to that. But just as an anecdote, there was some discussion in previous weeks of a certain feline making a cameo appearance in The Black Mirror. And if you haven't already caught it, and I'm going to watch it in a minute, bear in mind that this is the episode where that certain feline makes a cameo appearance. And jolly good performance he puts into, in my opinion. Enough said about that. We're then following that up with some of the entries, the winning entries from the sci-fi film thing, Avagene's film. We have another one called Everyday Life, and we have another one called Misgiving. And of course, on last week's show, we had an additional 2. We have a quick Council of the Stars, Machinima from Wonderful Celestial Elf. I think this is an edited extract from another film done sort of for the season. And that's followed with the art section, where we have a new Mr. Bones. Mr. Bones on this occasion is doing a bit of singing, which is why he's over in the art section. And he's singing about Xmas, as we say. Various other art clips coming up. It's very hard to describe arts, and it was a good couple of tracks near the end of that were basically music videos, looking around, and Tears of an Angel and Love is Affection. Right, 4 music videos are coming up. And then we have a few destinations, including the Winter Solstice, which just came in over at Tudor Isle, I believe it's called, the Tudor Basin. And in performance, we've got a nice, this is not the virtual Pink Floyd, but a very nice Inworld performance of Pink Floyd's song, Dark Side of the Moon, and a couple of dance troops, is the best way to describe them. And we have a long performance that I've actually been putting off for weeks. It actually features dance, but also it's a piano performance by a pianist called Ruli Sis. I presume that's how you pronounce it. Sorry, C-I-S-S-E. And in the lifestyle section, we have it's not Miss Virtual World, it's Miss Reginetta 2013. 15 minutes or so of a modelling thing there. And no, we don't have a happy ending this week, do we? We've got a few kind of other incidental things to burn there. So we've got a nice little selection for you, some of which have a slight holiday theme. And immediately after the Weekend Review show, we're going to start, I think we've got about an hour and a half so far of what we call Immersive Wonderland. It's basically a load of clips that we've been holding back for the last few weeks to make up a special show, which is just all machinima filmed in winter locations or telling seasonal stories and things like that. Wide variety of stuff there. And that's going to be updated every day for the next 2 days until it's a big, nice, fat playlist, as it were. And that's just this year. If I actually touch my master file for Winter Machinima, we may even end up with more. But anyway, I'd like to wish you all the very best for the holiday period. And that playlist, of course, will be our way of sort of presenting you with a nice moody experience should you wish to tune in at any time over the holidays. We'll be back with the Inworld review and indeed a new edition of the whole Metaverse Weekend Review, same time, same place next week. That's noon, Second Life time, 8 p.m. What do they call it? The GMT, the Greenwich thing, the one we're on, I'm on. I digress. So, I think I'll just say from all of us, make it the best holiday you possibly can. And we will see you same time, same place next week.